We're moving in a new direction, moving forward, and moving beyond smoking. We are Altria, and our companies are leading the way in moving adult smokers away from cigarettes by taking action to transition millions toward potentially less harmful choices as we move from being known as a tobacco company to being recognized as a tobacco harm reduction company. Altria is moving beyond smoking. Find out how at altria.com.
Gearheads know that some projects need so many parts, it feels like you need a whole storage unit just to store them. That's what eBay Motors' 122 million parts are for. Think of it as your virtual parts garage. They've always got the right fitment at the right prices. Use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
La 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 la, la 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 la, Elmo's World.
Welcome to the Elmo's World podcast. Welcome to Elmo's World podcast. This is Elmo, and I'm back with another episode. My friend Drew, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. So my name is Drew Harrison. I live in San Antonio, Texas, in United States of America. I am 31 years old, currently working for Premium Retail Services, and I sell cell phones within Walmart. So thank you for having me on your show, Elmo.
Yeah, and in terms of your worldview, what would be the basic things that you believe, or you hold, or positions you take?
Okay. So great question. Thank you. My worldview is Christian. I believe that there is a God, that He created everything that we see, the earth, the creatures within the earth, as well as humanity. And I believe that the Bible is God's word to us, to humanity. I believe in the triune God, that is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, three distinct persons, but the same person. And believe that Christ lived a life that we could not live, sinless, died the death that we deserved, and rose again for the salvation of all humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And that pretty much guides my life. And it's hard, but it's possible with His strength and His mercy every day. So that's what I believe.
But to you, what would be considered a sinful life? What is sin? How do you define it?
I define sin as kind of going solo, kind of breaking away from what God originally calls you to do, calls you to be. For instance, if God had told you in no uncertain ways that He wanted you to be a writer, and you said, you know what, God, that's a great idea, but I want to live a life of debauchery. I'm 20 years old, and I just want to have promiscuous relations with women. That's a bit, extreme, but that would be a sinful lifestyle, because one of the tenets, one of the facets of Christianity is to practice sex within marriage. That would be legalistic. That would be focusing strictly on the rules. Christianity is much more than that. It's about a relationship with God, having Him as your Father, as your friend, and as your Savior. But going back to your original question, sin is thinking that you know better than God, and then acting on what you think. So.
But what if a person doesn't believe in God? Would he be sinning because he's not going against anyone?
Well, just because you don't believe in God doesn't mean that he doesn't exist. I believe that so sin actually goes back all the way to Adam and Eve when Eve ate of the forbidden fruit. A lot of people think it's was an apple, but we were not told the exact fruit that it was. It could have been a pear, could have been whatever. But um, God told them not to eat of the fruit. They ate of the fruit. She gave some to Adam, and he ate of it. And so basically, if you are a human being and you are born into the world, you inherit that sinful lifestyle. Your heart naturally wants to rebel against God. And Jesus was the person who changed that, who flipped life on its head, the circumstances, and made us right with God.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm.
but
Okay.
but
Let's
that's
say I
that's
guess
in
I guess
essence.
you're a normal Protestant Christian, and probably
Yes.
evangelical, and but in terms of the things that you hold differently from mainstream Christians, what would those be?
Hmm. Um. Well, like I said before the interview, I think that and I know this is a very controversial, especially in today's age, but I think that it is possible, entirely possible for people of the same sex, that is, two men or two women, to share a uniquely close relationship with each other, and it not be sexual. I think that um, and this is more than just um, guys going to the bar and getting drunk and talking about girls and all those things. I think that what I'm talking about is sharing your secrets, sharing your life. Um, in America in the 1800s, during the Industrial Revolution, there were actually men who, because they wanted to work in the cities, would be confined to one house, and they would share one bed, and they would sleep with each other. I know that sleeping with each other has a connotation that you have sex and that you have relations, but you're naturally just sleeping with each other. You're not nothing's happening between a marriage bed between the men. They are strictly just sleeping. And I think that today in this world that we live in, it's weird. People don't know what to make of it, but it has existed for all eternity, actually, even during the church age of the first and second century. So that's one of the many things that I think differentiates from mainline Christianity.
Okay, but in terms of how you defined it, I would look at it as for how the spectrum would be of the romantic and the sexual is that it's more of a romantic relationship rather than a sexual relationship. So it's asexual
Yes,
romantic.
yes, yes. And so what happens from my limited understanding is that um, I mean it would for for all intents and purposes, I mean, you would be dating, you would be committed, you would be, you know, thinking fondly of each other, you would be using little nicknames like honey or
Yeah, it's very intimate.
what. Yeah. It is very intimate, and people are afraid.
Are you in a
They're
relationship
afraid.
like that
It's.
right now?
I am not. No,
Okay.
I am not.
But you
I
in a
wish I
way
was,
you
but I am
have
not.
that kind of desire within you to have that kind of relationship with someone.
Yes,
Okay,
I
but
do. I do. Yes.
is it like what do you think though of its nature? Is it more of a biological or is it just is it your soul that is attracted to the same sex?
I think so. It's a good question. I'm gonna need a minute. So I think, so, the sex drive part. I think it's biological. I'm not to say that you're born into it. I don't. I don't think there's a gay gene. I don't think I think it's more. I think it's more nurture versus nature. I think it's more the environment that you are brought up into.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another topic. Um, but I think that into someone's soul. I look into someone, and when I mean soul, I mean their character, I mean their personality,
But you being a
what
Christian,
they
you do
like.
believe that people have souls, right?
I do, for sure,
Okay.
definitely. And when you meet someone, I just think that forgive me for being trite and using the cliche, but I think it's love at first sight. I think it's you just meet and you're just like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you're really cool. You're a really cool individual, and I think you just hit it
Mm-hmm.
off. So
And you mentioned that it's a nature and nurture thing, and when it comes to the
mhm,
nurture, what
mhm.
what stimuli from the environment do you think would cause someone or form someone to be this way?
So, for instance, if you were, and I'm speaking from experience, if you were to, if you already had inclinations of a homosexual nature, which in and of themselves are not good or bad, they just are, they're neutral, um, and you were to foster them, if you were to say live in a metro area, a city area, and you were to um, seek out intimate partners for hookups, one night stands, if you were to frequent a bar or a nightclub on a regular basis, um, if the company that you kept was such that whether they were drag queens, pardon me, or people that shared your same, um, not radical, but your same lifestyle habits, um, I say that would definitely have that would be a catalyst. That would be a determining factor in um, how you would be raised, and it would definitely um, kind of influence you uh, in that direction.
Yeah, but don't you
Versus
think
if you
it's
did
very
not.
dangerous to claim that the sexuality can be formed, by the environment? Because some would lead to the ideas like, then if you were molded to be that way, then we can mold you out of it.
Yes, yes. So that is true, which is dangerous. I think that sexuality is one of those things that it's not black and white at all. I used to think it was black and white back when I was a teenager and in my early adult years. I thought it was very black and white, like a light switch. You could turn it on, you could turn it off, you can change it.
Well, sex is
Um,
black and white. Like there is a male and a female, but in terms of
yes,
the desire that is in them,
right.
that's the
Yes,
difference. Hmm.
right. And so I think that people need to be a little bit more understanding of what people bring with them. I was reading a book. Um, it was an amazing book on what we're talking about, and his point of view is that um, you don't know what people bring with them. What I mean by that, you don't know their history. You don't know if they were in a bad relationship with someone of the opposite sex and that drove them into a same sex relationship. You don't know. You don't know what they carry with them. And so I think it is very detrimental, even dare I say, fatal in some instances, um, that it could breed disastrous results. For instance, there was a news story a few years ago of a college roommate who I believe committed suicide. He jumped off a bridge because his roommate, unbeknownst to him, was video recording him and his significant other having sexual relations without his knowledge and or his consent. And he found out about it. He was a very shy individual, and he he killed himself. And so I think you need to be very careful about the views that you espouse, the views that you hold, and how you tell them to others. Because especially Christians, I think that Christians are notorious for, you know, kind of driving people that already have those views further into the gay lifestyle
Mm.
without meaning to.
Mm.
So,
But to me, this is how I would look at it. For example, if I were to analyze, like, if I was a Christian, how would I look at
mhm,
people, gay people? Would I look at the like I guess like 20% of the human population are already part of the gender spectrum. That identify as gay and lesbian
mhm,
and stuff. And so,
right,
there's this repetitive and huge thing for humanity, and it's not new. It's been with us for for all that we've known in history.
sure,
And so what would be my opinion on it? Like, to what the Bible says about it, there are verses that in the New Testament that say it's wrong and all of that. But ultimately, how would I as a person act upon interacting with these individuals? Do I treat them differently and whatnot? To me, I would tackle it in a way that understands the condition, the human condition, which is that
hmm,
all people are are humans. They're not perfect. They're in a Christian's
of
view, we're
course,
we're all doomed. We're all sinful. But and so
yes,
whether or not homosexuality is wrong or is a sin or not, why would that change my how I interact with other people?
exactly,
And it's not, and I don't have autonomy over others because I respect their rights. So do I
sure,
have a right to tell them what to do with their lives? If I don't, then I'm just gonna focus on myself, and focus on how I would be a better person. And
sure,
I think that whether to be a good really loving Christian following Jesus Christ, we
hmm,
have to ignore, I don't say ignore, but like put less attention to the answers to these questions and more to questions that we should answer, and that how should our society be formed? What kind of human beings
hmm,
should we be? And so
right,
um to me, I would unanswer. I would not be open to expressing my answer to that, but they and the behavior, the outcome from that coming from me, I would say that I would treat homosexuals no different from other human beings. That's it.
right, sure. Well, and you bring up a good point. I think um so up until quite recently, and by recently I mean after after the mid 1800s and probably more the middle of the 20th century, so 1950s and onward. Pardon me. Um, being gay was not a thing. And what I mean by that, it was not a concept. It was not an identity. It was not something like, oh, I'm white, or I'm a liberal, or I'm a Republican. Um, there were three different categories. There were um, attitudes or behaviors. So, um, kind of like I I'm attracted to men. So since we're on that topic, there were actions. I held, held hands with a guy, or I engaged in physical relations with a guy, and then there was there that was it. There were only two for the longest time. Um, and then only until quite recently, and really with the gay rights movement and Harvey Milk, um, who was personified by Sean Penn in the movie Milk in America. Um, only then, with the rise of gay rights activism, was being gay suddenly a political term. It was coined as a political ideology. It was very radical. It was very extreme, and people were proud. That's when you had more um, parades, pride parades, and such. But I think it's for people's detriment. I think that you really paint yourself into a corner. You really do yourself a disservice. Um, I think that now, do I think that you should be ashamed of what you feel? By no means. By no means. I don't think that. I think it's very important. I think it makes up who you are. However, um, I think that it's only actions. It's just actions. They're not going to determine your lifestyle, 20 years down the road. I don't think it holds so much value that it will determine and dictate. Oh, well, since I since I like men, I can't be in architecture, or I can't go to school, or I can't do this. See, when you start adopting an identity, you put yourself in parameters. You put yourself in a box, and for one, I just don't think that's a good idea. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but
Mhm.
that those are my thoughts. So,
Yeah. And but to me though, sexuality is just a small part of the human being. You know,
very,
we
very
are
small.
very complex creatures, and to me, I would
Hmm.
focus on, for example, how you are what makes you different from the rest of society, which and those are
Hmm.
traits that make you you. You know, and
Hmm.
to me, my traits would be like my specific desires for things, and my and not
Hmm.
just genetic, but it's more of the will that I have that is different from others. You know, so but when it comes
Hmm.
to that, it's simply the complexity and stuff. But to you though, I wanted to dive deep into your persona and ask like oh, to you, what would be the meaning of life?
Okay. Pardon me. Um, so, um, for the longest time, I would have told you to be happy, to live life to the fullest. Um, and that's a very scripted, very American, kind of like a Hollywood kind of answer. But and I might lose you with this in thinking, but I think it is to honor God, God, to know what He wants for your life, and to do your best in this life to fulfill his desire for you. He wants you to be happy. And the only way that you can be happy is to know him.
Mhm.
I think that humanity, for all the time that we've been on this earth, which has been very little, I think that humanity's deepest desire is to be known, is to know things and to be known by other people. And who else can better know humanity than the person or the being who made him? Who can love someone so much and so deeply more than his own creator? And I think that when you fall away from that, when you do something that is only for your own best interest, you fall short. You fall gravely short. And so that, in short, is my answer: to know God and to be known by God.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I guess then your identity is deeply rooted into you being a Christian, right? And you identified
Yes,
with
sir.
this. Okay. And in this
Yes,
sense,
sir.
though, it would be really surprising for a lot of Christians, knowing that to them you would be someone who's considered not practicing the sin of homosexuality, not in the mind, in the heart, and
Mhm.
and to them, because of sin, you would have a disconnect with the Holy Spirit and this fellowship in some sort.
Right.
But the thing is that what's happening with you is in a phenomenological understanding is it's not a bother, and it's not, if it is wrong in a sense, then you would actually have like a guilt or shame of it. But that's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that
Yes.
you know what you think is right or wrong, and to you it's just who you are. Is that what it
Right.
is?
Right. Yes. I think I take the mindset of Paul. Paul in the or in the New Testament, he was originally named Saul. He's a very learned fellow, a Jew and a Roman citizen in his own right. Very learned in the traditions and in the schools. A great persecutor of Christians, and then had a catalyst event, interacted with God personally uh, on his way in the desert, um, scales on his eyes and everything, road to Damascus, and then he converted. And his journey was so great. And I adopt his mindset. I think that, you know, yes, I have my own cross to bear. Is it any more? Is it any graver or less grave, my sin, than any other person's sin? No. Does society think it is? I think so in some instances. I think that I'm an oddity. I think that people look at me and they're like, "Oh, is he for real? Is he genuine? Is he sincere?" Or, or they're just waiting until I slip up next. They think, "Oh, well, he says he's a Christian, but I bet that when the day is done and we don't see him anymore, I bet he's gonna sleep with guys." That's their mindset. But I don't worry about it. I used to worry about pleasing people, but the only person that I would want to please is God and what He thinks of me. I think that He made me this way. I think that, let me rephrase that. I think that He made me with certain proclivities, with certain ways in which I am designed, um, with certain attitudes and certain desires that um, would have me, attracted to guys more than girls, men more than women, or should I say? But does it make me a false Christian? No. Does it excuse me um, from the Great Commission, from proselytizing and from telling people about Christ? No. Uh, I think that people are just waiting for an excuse, looking for an excuse to smear me and to smear Christians. But they did that with Christ, and so I think that I take great honor in that. And if I'm doing that, if I'm following Christ and I'm my name is being besmirched and threatened, then I take great honor that they did it with Christ first. So
Yeah, and
I
but the
hope that
scare
answers your question.
I have a problem with for example though if you don't think that uh the romantic part of having a relationship with another with someone with your same sex is not wrong, so but to you would hold that having physical attraction with them is wrong, then that doesn't make sense.
Yes,
But why?
I know, I know, I know. So let me let me try my best to clarify. So I view it more as a platonic attraction. I view it more as a
Yeah, but
platonic
I
relationship.
agree. It's platonic, but purely friendly. But so in a way, you also hold that that physical sex with the same sex is immoral. It's sinful. You hold
Right,
that?
is wrong. Yes.
But why?
Yes, I hold that. Yes, I hold that to be true. Because, well, one, because the Bible tells me so, but more than that, experience. I have my from my experience, I have just my conscience tells me that my emotions were reeling from every encounter that I had. Um, Plus, just look at nature, look at biology, look at men and women are so different, and yet they complement each other so well. You know, both physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Um, when you look at them and you look at them together, um, they complete each other. And I'm not saying that you can't have a crush on a guy if you're a guy, or the same with women, but um, to say that, and honestly, when it really gets down to brass tacks, I think that um, it's really about procreation. It's really about furthering, furthering the your line, so to speak, furthering, creation of children, and which is natural to all of God's creation, animals and humans alike. So I just think that if you try and mess with that, you're asking for trouble. It'll work for a while. It'll work for a while. It always does. But I don't know. And I know I understand my viewpoint is a little at odds, contradictory, and not very popular, especially in America. But it's
Yeah,
what I hold to be
but I
true.
have to
And
be honest. Like I think what you're doing is that you made a framework of belief where you cannot both deny being a Christian and being gay and having feelings for the same sex. So in a way, you construct this so you could live your life without shame because you have already this fixed belief system that doesn't contradict your actions or who you are, you know.
So I'm sorry, can you, so are you saying that, are you hearing me say that I'm telling you that you can't be gay and Christian, or that you can be gay and Christian?
I know.
That you can have,
I'm saying that with you being your being as a person is that you cannot deny being a Christian in your environment, but you can also cannot
Mhm.
deny your real feelings. That is that you people would call gay, being gay, and so. And
Right.
so so in this way you try to make sense of reality and have arrived at this discovery that, oh, this is how I can make it work. This is a thought
Yes.
process. Yeah.
Right. And it's not for everybody. It definitely isn't for everybody. But, um, some people join the clergy, some people join the priesthood, some people have different viewpoints, and they think that, they're called side A, and they do believe that the Bible does not conflict with homosexual lifestyles, and they're happily married, and they believe that God is okay with that. Um, but like I told you earlier, and I'm telling you now, I haven't arrived at that conclusion. I wish I could.
Mm-hmm.
I tried that, and it didn't work for me. So
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to do as God is telling me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Other
yep.
than that, I would want to talk about like your how you understand your place or role in the world. Aside from being a
Okay.
Christian,
Sure.
I guess that we could within the framework of your Christianity, um,
Okay.
to you, why are you here? What is your purpose?
I think my purpose is to, again, this is a cliche, but to help other people. I I help other people by trying to understand them. I'm an empath, and what that basically means is I feel things deeply. I have emotions, and I feel my emotions very strongly. And not only my emotions, but other people's emotions. For instance, I can walk into a room where there are 20 other people sitting at a table, and it's a business meeting, and no one has to say anything. No one has to look me in the eye or even tell me what the meeting is about. And I can understand, based on my intuition and my feelings, if someone is feeling angry, if someone is feeling nervous, if someone is feeling happy. My body innately tells me pretty much the quote unquote temperature of the room. Um, I can talk with one of my friends, and based on their body language and the tone of their voice, um, I can understand, okay, I'm not going to share my problem with you today because you're already on edge. I can feel it in the way that you look at me, and in the pitch of your voice. Um, and it's it's a blessing and a curse. Um, Sometimes I have to tone it down. I have to just, either listen to music or read a book, or, I have to vent my way so that I don't blow up. Because if I am out of control, if I'm feeling too angry, or if I'm feeling too sad, and someone, just comes at me and simply says hi, I could really, it really wouldn't be a good time with that. So, back to your original question, I think that um, just helping people, understanding where they are, kind of being a mini counselor, I guess, helping them with their problems,
Mhm.
whatever it is. I think that religion aside, Christianity aside, everyone that you meet deserves your respect. You can be kind to someone. Um, it costs you nothing to be kind. It doesn't cost money. You can simply smile at them and their day will be changed in an instant. So I think that that is my purpose in life is to change people for the better,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
help them.
Well, now that we've sort of separated Christianity from it, now let's go back to Christianity. But to you
Okay.
though, a lot of people they say that okay, I'm gay, I can't deny it, but this Christian
Right.
framework, this religion, does not fit the bill for me. You know, it denies my existence. You know, it doesn't accept me, and so I'm gonna totally reject it.
Sure.
But what made you
Sure.
stay with Christianity? What's with it?
So, in short, I'm gonna make a statement and then I'm going to backtrack with anecdotes. So, in short, there have been too many instances in my life where that show me that God is real, that God has been there from day one for me not to believe. For instance, I had a really bad car accident when I was 19 months old. I was about 2 miles from my house in Louisiana with my dad. I was in a booster seat on a bike, and we were turning into my subdivision. And it was a sunny day out, and the lady driver driving the car could not see us, and we got broadsided as a result. I was flung from my booster seat, found near a telephone pole. I was chemically induced into a coma. 2.5 weeks later, I woke up. I had to learn everything over again, including how to swallow. I underwent many surgeries, many therapies, and fast forward now, on the outside looking in, people would not know all of that happened because I seem so normal. But I just think that, you know, I don't believe in coincidence. I think that everything happens for a reason. Um, would I want to do over, if I had a chance? Sometimes, yeah, sure, I take one. But I think that, you know, the things that have happened in my life, both good and bad, make me who I am today. They make me a stronger person. And my faith has given meaning to my life and has made me push through those bad times. And I don't think if I didn't have my faith, if I abandoned my faith, um, I think it would have had a different outcome. So
Mm-hmm. I see. But to you though, what is your faith? Like, what does it? What is it? Because the Christianity is focused on Jesus, and God. But what is that? Why is it irresistible to you?
I think what attracts me to Jesus Christ is that because the Bible says that God was Jesus, both fully man and fully God. However, every single person in the Bible, Jesus included, when you read about them in the Bible and what they do and what they said, they're kind of like bigger than life. They're larger than life. And I can't relate to that. But with Jesus, I recently read a post on Facebook and it just blew my mind. And it was something like, I wonder what it was like between miracles with Jesus and his disciples. I wonder if there were any inside jokes that he shared with his disciples, with his friends, these were people that saw him at his best and his worst, and they kept going. They didn't abandon him, well, until the very end, of course. But, I wonder if he looked at the stars and was just amazed. When I look at Jesus now, I mean, yes, he was perfect and is perfect, but he was also human. He also had temptation. He had many opportunities to get mad and to get downright angry, and sometimes they were it was a righteous anger and a righteous indignation. But I look at Jesus now and I'm attracted to his humanness, his just ability to be my friend. I look at him and, he's perfect. He is just. He is all these things. And I think my first thought is, how could a great God and a loving God want to ever be my friend? And yet he is. He's always been there for me. And so, growing up, I didn't have many friends, and so, looking at him kind of sets the bar, and that's one of the many reasons that I'm attracted to faith in him and in Christianity.
Okay, cool. And one last question, because we're almost an hour, and it's been awesome talking to you, bro. And I know this is a very
Thank you.
controversial topic, and it really means a lot that you're discussing this. It's really important. And to you, what would be your message to those Christians, let's say, or who do not accept homosexuality as something that is not a sin, but it's just part of being who you are?
When you're talking with someone, and it could be a friend, it could be a family member, because honestly, odds are everyone has one. They know someone or they have a family member who is gay, and they're a Christian. If they're a Christian, I would tell them, just for a moment or a few moments, take your Christian beliefs, take all that you know, and set that aside. When you're talking with this person, look them in the eye, ask them what their story is, ask them what their likes are, get to know them, ask them how their day went, ask them what their fears are, get to know them as a person, as a friend, and not as an oddity. I think that people who are Christian are afraid of what they don't understand, and they don't take the time to understand them. So that's the first step. And the reason I say that is because when you get to know someone as a person and not as this thing that you don't that you're afraid of, it's a lot harder to judge them than if they're just someone off the street. It's a lot harder to objectify them if they're your friend. And I'm speaking from experience. I still struggle with that. So that would be my first and ultimate piece of advice to them.
Well, Drew, it's been awesome talking to you, man. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a
Likewise.
good day. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's the end of it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is your host, Elmo Ador Jr. And thank you for listening in. And please subscribe. Please follow us on Facebook. Please follow this. Please. Thanks.
We're moving in a new direction, moving forward and moving beyond smoking. We are Altria, and our companies are leading the way in moving adult smokers away from cigarettes by taking action to transition millions toward potentially less harmful choices as we move from being known as a tobacco company to being recognized as a tobacco harm reduction company. Altria is moving beyond smoking. Find out how at altria.com.
Holidays are here, and so is fashionable fitness. Gift yourself a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G, a phone that folds in half to literally stand on its own. Pair it with the Galaxy Watch 4 for ultimate wellness and wow factor. Check health stats, flex personal records. Over 90 activities can be tracked, like biking, swimming, golfing, and more. Invest in yourself with tech made to crush goals. Holidays open up with Galaxy. Shop it all at Samsung.com. 5G connection and availability may vary. Check with carrier. Products sold separately.